Hi everyone, and welcome to Monday Evening Crafting Time. I'm Lillian from Stamper's Niche, and I'm coming to you from Alberta, Canada. And I'm so glad you can join us tonight. I think I have something really neat to share with you, but I planned it a while back and now I'm trying to remember what I planned. So hopefully it'll all come together and we'll have some fun unlocking your paper crafting fun. I think it's something that you'll be able to use in your crafting and that you will enjoy it. So leave a comment and say hi, that kind of thing. And I thought just as people are hopping on, I'm going to share one thing that I did today that I hadn't planned on, and it was a little out of my comfort zone, I guess. I had the boys from the Netherlands here, so our 4.5-year-old and our 7-year-old grandsons, and we had them at West Edmonton Mall with their dad. And they decided they were going to ride those things, you know, those animals that sort of scoot around the mall that I always try to dodge and avoid. So that was all good. Dad was in charge and he was going to go with the youngest one because the youngest one didn't meet the height requirement. And lo and behold, he was a tad too heavy. And so the people that at the rental place indicated that I needed to go on with the 4.5-year-old. So totally out of my comfort zone, but there I was with a 4.5-year-old riding one of those motorized animals all around a West Edmonton Mall. Now we stayed in the area down by the car dealership, so it wasn't very busy, but that's what I did outside my comfort zone today. What's something that you've done that maybe is outside of your comfort zone, or maybe it's just something you haven't done before or don't do very often? Share with us something that was a new or exciting experience with you during the last few months. Maybe we'll extend the time. You can make it to whatever you want. Just while I am getting things situated, set up with my desktop and my computer and all of that. So have any of you ridden those motorized animals around the mall? I'd be curious to know if am I alone or have some of you done it as well? And here I am, just okay. It looks like we are live and that's good. Just need to share it to my page so that people that are to my group, pardon me, I am on my page, just so that people there can find me as well. There we go. So welcome everyone. Judy, sitting on a floating device on the lake. Oh, that sounds like heaven, actually. I hope it was warm and not windy. So, yes, Marilyn, always something new. Now, I had seen those animals several years ago in Singapore, but never dreamt that I would be riding them. And so anyway, chalk it up to a new experience, and the kids had a ball, and I haven't even seen the pictures from it, so we'll see. So I'm just going to touch base on a couple of things before I go with tonight's project. First off, Paper Pumpkin. It's a fabulous kit, at least it sure looks fabulous. That's available for right now, but you have to register for it or order it by the 10th of August. And believe it or not, right now it's the 8th, so you only have a couple of days. So this is what the box looks like. Here's like one of the cards looks like, and then you get bonus mesh pieces. So you would get all the things you need to make 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs, and you get the Stampin' Spot, you get the stamps and all of that. So gorgeous cards. Looks like they could be suitable for any occasions. And this is a summer that's been sort of any occasions for our family. We have had more than one goodbye to different people. So there have been funerals and that kind of thing. There have been celebrations of birthdays and families getting together. So it's a bit of everything else this summer. So that kit would have covered all of that, I think. I see, Marilyn, you went ziplining. I love ziplining, but yes, it was pretty scary the first time I did it. But that is great. The other thing I wanted to mention is my Christmas in August class. One of the classes has been filled already, believe it or not. So this is the link, and I'll put the link in the description going with this video afterwards, so you can just click on it. Now, when you click on this link, you will get an explanation about what's involved in the class. And then as you scroll to the bottom of the link, there's another place to click to register. Because there are several options. There are options of different times and days for the in-person class, and there's also the class to go. So do check that out if that's at all interesting to you. Great response for that. And while we're doing this kind of thing, this was last week's card. And those of you who weren't here last week, it was called, what was it? Pop-up easel card, vertical easel card. So when it sits on the desk or the mantle or something, it looks like that, but it goes perfectly flat. And the person who's going to be receiving this in the mail is Carolyn D. And I forgot to show you this stamp set last week, and we're going to try and remember to use it tonight. But it is the limited edition stamp set, so you can put anything on the back, you know, Hallmark, Carlton, they put their thing on the back. You can do that and then just sign it. And do remember, when you put the copyright Stampin' Up, you can sell your cards. So Stampin' Up has given you permission to use their images as long as you give them the credit. So just a little something to remember there, and I'm going to tuck that away. And just take a look-see here. What we're going to work with tonight is a bundle, and yes, it's a Christmas card, but the layout works for anything. So at the end, hang in there, because I'm going to show you it done with an all-occasion card. So we're going to look at Mistletoe Magic. Now, I really love the images of this, but I also love the words, the fonts, the message, everything. So it just seemed to cover it all. Then, of course, it's a bundle. So you can get these dies and save 10% when you buy them as a bundle. And this, I took the dies, and so some of the dies cut out the images that you stamp. You can, or you don't need to. And some are, oh, sorry, there's one more. And some are just use alone. So look at the different sizes of holly berries you get there even. Some great bows, detailed, that wouldn't require stamping. Some little pieces to fill in the edges and pieces and that kind of thing. So I've been getting ready for my Christmas card class. This is one card that we're not making at it, but I wanted to share this with you. So we'll put that to the side, and let me just show you in the catalog where it is. Don't you just love the index at the back? Because I always forget page numbers, but I love the index at the back, and it's on page 15. So let's go to page 15. And of course, the index has another sample. And so here are some different samples that they have given, some tips that you as well. I love looking at their little tips. I look for that thumbtack thing. I love how they've done the background on this. They've just glued lots of those on there. And so here it is. The bundle itself is $65.50. So right now, until the end of August, that would qualify you for a free celebration item. So the celebration items, there is this one here, and then I went and put the other sheet somewhere else. I'll have to show it to you later. So they've made additions, and there's some wonderful things you can get with celebration. So if, well, just one moment. I will show you, because as you know, I will forget otherwise. So that you can not only earn the items in here during celebration, and these are free items if you spend 60 or multiples of 60. And then they've added these, so there are embossing folders, there's a die, a couple of dies, 3 dies actually, some boxes, some specialty papers. Whoops, 4 dies, I didn't count properly. Now, if you want to order some of these for your celebration item, make sure to use the celebration code, because these ones are found in our annual catalog. Don't use if you're claiming it for a celebration item, don't use the code that's in the catalog. Use the code that goes with the celebration item. And that can be found on my website as well, or you can contact me and I can definitely help you out with that. So let's see what we're working on here. Tonight we are going to start with, and I'm just going to show you this part to begin with, of Shimmery White paper, and it's 4 by 5. Now I had every intention of doing some of the coloring, because I had decided I wanted to color some of this ahead of time, but you know, I was too busy riding motorized animals around the mall today, right? So, and then doing some Lego and keeping them occupied so their dad had a little free time. So there, we've stamped that. And then we're going to stamp the Merry Christmas in Memento Black as well. Just like that. And we've got the beginning of our card. We're just going to take that to the side. Now you could color this with blends and get a nice rich color. You could color this with watercolor. You could color it with pencil crayons. The watercolor pencil crayons blend beautifully, but I thought I would just remind you that you can use your ink pad. Now I could have put my ink in the lid, but I'm going to take a little bit easier route when I'm coloring this much and put some on a block. It just rinses off under the tap and you don't have to worry. I did a little research. I Googled mistletoe to try to see what colors to paint. Did they have brown stems or not? And do you know what? Some showed brown stems, some showed green. So I'm just going to go with green, and Mossy Meadow seemed to be the color to go with. So I'm taking one of my water painters. I'm just going to bring it in here. I'm going to bring in a paper towel and make sure that it's clean. That's going to bother me there. So I'm going to squirt some water here, and I'm going to make just a little paint palette. Make it nice and juicy, because I can start with light colors and I can always make it darker, right? And that's pretty dark. I better get some of that off. There we go. I'll do some here, just like that. And the nice thing about using watercolor and the Shimmery White is that it really paints beautifully, and I'm not going to worry too much if I leave some white spots, because that looks a little bit more like watercoloring. Normally I would have stamped in StazOn ink, but I didn't. So Memento is a water-based ink, and usually you don't use water-based with water base, but I'm living dangerously tonight, partly because my StazOn wasn't re-inked and I needed to fix it up. So a few things have fallen by the wayside this last month, but it's been lots of fun to have everybody here. And we've had tons and tons of family time and beach time and mountain time and just all cousin time and all that kind of stuff. So it's been good. So I'm going to keep coloring here. It won't take me long. So some of you, have you done this where you've put your paint on your block and then just used a paintbrush or a water painter and painted with it? It's a great way to get a palette of paint. And when I'm only using one color right now, so I've got that one pretty dark. Oh well, that'll be fine. Leaves aren't all one color, are they? I remember my granddaughter at the beginning of summer, the end of spring, was saying how many different colors of green were in the trees, and she was dead right. There we go. We're just about there. And I can do a little better job afterwards, just touch it up, but you're getting the idea of how quickly you can get this to come together. I could have left it just black and white. Those of you who have crafted with me a while know that tends to be what I do. But I wanted to show you how easy it was to add a bit of color to it, just like that. And you can heat set it, but it's going to dry pretty quickly And then you're just going to clean your water painter by going like that and snapping it on. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the water painters, they have a barrel here that holds water, and so therefore you don't have to continually be looking for water. You can regulate it that way. The only trick with our water painters is the top, when you want to, oh, well, let's move that out of the way in case I spill. You have to turn the opposite way you would normally turn. So that I just did that. See, I was going to get ready to put water in. I started to turn, what's this, counterclockwise, and you've got to turn clockwise. So if yours isn't opening, turn it the other way. So then you see, you just fill that up with water and you're set to go. And just remember to turn it the opposite way. So I'm going to put that away, put this away so I don't make a mess. And let's take another look-see here. One other thing that I think I would like to add to this is I would like to add some clear wink of Stella to the berries. It just adds a little more interest like that. Now, in my research, I did discover that mistletoe berries can be in pinks and some different colors, but you can see, let's just see, can I catch the light here? That the berries now sparkle a little bit more. But when I was doing this, I thought, I think it needs a little bit more. So I took the die from the die set that matches. I took this big die here, it matches that. And I took our masking paper. So remember I did a class, not a class, but I did a Facebook Live on the masking paper. What it is it's sticky paper, comes in a package like this, and then you can cut, but it's very thin and it's just tacky sticky, so you can cover up areas that you want to cover up. And so what I did is I cut out that shape with my die, so it was really fast and easy, and I'm just going to place it over top, and I'm not going to sweat it if I'm not exact, but that's not too bad. And I keep those kinds of things in with my stamp set, so I know where to find it. And I'm going to put some scrap paper underneath, and I am going to bring in one of my blends. Now, I could use a marker, a blend. I could do this with the water painter, any of those things. I'm going to use the brush end and just do a few spatters. Now, also, we have stamps that make spatters. So if you're not comfortable doing this, use a stamp. But I'm just, because you are going to get something different every time. And I could have used Mossy Meadow too, couldn't I? Anyway, I used Basic Black. I think I intended to use Mossy Meadow. And one of my samples I did and one I didn't. Then when I peel that off, the spatters are everywhere but on here. So we'll put that back in here to save it for the next project. Just like that. And now we're ready to build our card. So we've got this part done. So let's bring in our pieces. We are going to mount that on a piece of cherry cobbler that is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And because most of that is going to be hidden, I cut out the bow from that piece of paper. No one's going to know that that's missing. So I just want to fasten this to this, just like, good enough. And what I want to do, and I am going to bring my grid paper in because it helps me. I'm going to put this down. And this is a little bit of a different mat. It's going to have a border at the top and at the bottom, but not at the sides. And it's slightly narrower than the Shimmery White. So just like that. And because I use liquid glue, I can wiggle it a bit. And I'm looking through the camera, so I'm hoping I've got that relatively straight. So there, that we've got that. And before we put it on the card, because you're going to have to help me in a minute, I'm going to put this on. I'm just going to go like this. Just add a little dimension. Just be gentle when you're doing this kind of thing. And initially I tried putting this on a mini dimensional. It was just too wobbly. So we're going to just use a little bit of glue and stick it down, or you can use a glue dot. Just a little dab will do ya, right? And there we go, just like that. Okay, I got a little bit extra, so I'll just blot it off. There we go. So we've got it like that. We're going to add a few embellishments, but now we have to come up with the card base. That's what we want to do now. So here are the choices. The card base is going to be 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So that's half a sheet of cardstock. Now, do you think this looks better on Mossy Meadow, Basic White? Well, the Shimmery White's a little bit different. I think I'm going to make the decision there and take the Basic White out. Basic Black or Crumb Cake? So which card base would you go with? Mossy Meadow, Basic Black, or Crumb Cake? Oh, sorry, I coughed and hit the camera. Now there was a little exciting ride for you. There we go. And while you're typing that in, I am going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. So those of you who are new to paper crafting, dimensionals are foam that's sticky on both sides, pardon me. So we'll just add, and we'll put some in the center so that it doesn't get saggy in the mail. So I am seeing a Mossy Meadow. Okie dokie, we will go with Mossy Meadow. It brings out the color, doesn't it? So we'll fold that in half. Use our bone folder to burnish that fold. Can't talk very much. I'm surprised I can talk at all, actually. So there we go. And we're going to put this on the front. See if I can get it straight. Now you can see it just kind of adds that pop of color, but it's a little bit different matte. And I really, really like this idea. So, but we do need to finish it off. We need some embellishments, right? So let's bring in some embellishments. And we have the Opal Rounds, which look like this. Now remember, they don't come in these cases. I buy them from the catalog to store them, I just find. Or we have the iridescent rhinestones. Which do you think? What do you think? Iridescent rhinestones or Opal Rounds? What do you think? Oh, I see a lot of you are liking that kind of matte. Oh, I'm so glad. It was a new one to me, and I really liked how it looked, and it was a little bit different. So iridescent rhinestones or Opal Rounds? Opal Rounds is what I saw first. Okie dokie, we'll go with Opal Rounds. And let's see, I think we'll put one right in the middle of the bow, just to add a little attention to the bow. We don't want that to feel neglected. And let's put one here, and one here, and that's likely good enough. So I will touch up some of that paint job, but that gives you the idea of how that goes. So what I did when I was first planning this card and using that mat, I did it first here. OCD can't handle that type of mat. Well, you know what? We're all kinds, so that just sort of depends. And I see I got one border bigger than the other, but that's all right. So the first one I made, I did not use the Shimmery White. I used white, and I used blends to color that. And then the iridescent rhinestones here. So same card, but with the white base. And then this was one that I was doing here, and I did it with basic white instead of the shimmery white, and I hadn't finished this one yet. So this one I was initially going to have as the one to do with you, like just color, where am I at? Color part of this and then show you this, but then I wanted to see what mat you would create. So those are two ideas using the exact same stamp set and the mat. Now for the inside, what I did was I took the small little sprig, stamped it off a couple of times, and stamped it in the background, and then put the verse on top. So that's a way of doing the inside. And then for the, yeah, here we go. I forgot already. I knew I would. We're going to bring in Handcrafted from the Heart, Stampin' Up. And I'm going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow, so it's tone on tone. It just is subtly there, I think. There we go. And let's do it like that. And then we've got that on the back. And it's amazing how people hang on to handmade cards. So it's good if you sign it or give your initials. I have learned not to put the year because sometimes a year or two has happened. So that's just a word of caution, something that I have learned. So I decided, well, what if I wanted to take this mat and use Splendid Thoughts? So I tried that, and then I thought, what if I wanted to take this mat and turn it sideways? So here is the same layout. So you know that I'm big on card layouts, and I have that challenge every Friday in my Facebook group. So here's the same card layout, different colors, of course, and different stamp sets. Now, I could have made this much fancier and more complicated by cutting out layers and sprigs and that kind of thing. But I wanted to keep it basically stamps, ink, and paper, just with the different mat. And these are the In Color Opal Rounds, the 2021 to 23 In Color Opal Rounds, I think it is. So I hope that gives you some ideas as to a layout that you can use and have some fun with, and I'd love to see what you make. So do be sure to post it and share it. Remember, if you're needing product or you're wanting some information, you can contact me. This is my website as well. Whoops, it helped there we go. And if you're ordering online, this is the current hostess code if your order's under $200. What that does is it makes all the orders go together to form a benefit. So if you need help in figuring anything out, or if placing an order or that kind of thing, do give me a shout out either by email or a message, and have some fun with that. And I am going to give you just a little sneak peek to one of my Christmas in August cards, just to whet your appetite. Just be warned, though, that you need to register soon because classes are filling up. Here is one of the cards. So you'll make 2 each of 3 different designs in my Christmas in August class. And I think you'll have some fun with that. So whether you do this design with a white base, a colored base, whatever's your stamp set, just dust some of those stamp sets off that you haven't used for a while and give a whirl with this layout. And remember, I'd love it if you shared it with us, or if you share it on your own social media, tag me so that I can see. I love to see what you do. All right, I think that is it. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.